Dun, 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 dun. Let's start. Hello, everybody. My name is Rodgon. I'm an art teacher. I give out lessons for free. And I do so because I love teaching. So, hi, grab your sketchbooks, grab something to draw with, and let's teach you guys something really cool. How about we talk about something deep, something meaningful, and we draw all together as if we were in a big sketch group. How's it going, color niece? How's it going, teacher Rod? Hey, what's up? How's it going? So, this is a little later than we normally go on stream. So, I don't expect a huge audience, but that's perfectly fine. I prefer like some intimate little like sketch sessions with less people once in a while too. You know, it's not all about just getting views and stuff. It's about actually connecting with some of you guys. And, you know, situations in which I get to come home in a very happy mood because I got to go hang out with someone fucking awesome today. Right? I made a new friend, and it was awesome spending time with them. And I got to go to the zoo, and I got to draw animals, and it was just cool. You know? So I'm going to share a little bit of what, how to like keep inspired and how to journey out as an artist without necessarily like having to make it an adventure. Like, how can you actually set up like day little journeys to even something like a park and actually make something out of that? Like, the thing is, like, we as artists have to get really good at drawing everyday things. Everyday things. Like, you have to get, I was practicing from other people's styles too, by the way. I practice all the time from other people's styles. Like I do like all the time. Like Chris Sanders, my fucking like god. Like I have him as a sticker. You know, like this guy's a god to me. So, you know, little by little, I'm like learning how he breaks down his anatomy, and eventually I'll be able to actually do the artwork that he does. Like it's just a matter of time. I'll just choose to do it in my own way instead of actually doing it as a copy of his own art. But I'll be able to put his feel and his motion and stuff like that into it because I understand it, right? Once I break it down to the point where I understand it, well, nothing's stopping me from using those skills for myself. And understanding is hard enough, much less actually like executing. So if you're able to actually replicate like to a certain extent someone's artwork, first of all, that's awesome. Second of all, make it your own. And then third of all, learn from it and, you know, share it with people so other people can actually join in on the fun. Like, don't be a person, like, learn from me and don't pigeonhole your info, right? Like, I normally see this a lot, for example, in tattoo industries, like where they think that they have like some magical hold on knowledge just because they do it. Like, it honestly is the most upsetting thing from you tattoo artists, by the way. Like, the inability for you guys to take some of your interns and actually treat them well and wanting to teach them instead of taking advantage of them is a very predominant trait in the tattoo industry that I fucking hate. So, I've seen so many mispractices or like people that take on apprentices and then a year or like months before they get a chance to get out of it and become the real artist, they fire them or let them go. And they got like, 2 years of free art, like free work from them, or slavitude pretty much. So it's just like an absolute garbage way to carry your industry if you want it to grow. You know, if you don't want to foment growth, hey, awesome. Like, just keep it to yourselves, you know. But if you actually want the community to grow and expand and go into different avenues and like evolve as an art form, you can't segregate it to just like things like that. You can't keep the knowledge secret. Which, you know, in a way, I actually want to start tattooing just so that I can just learn all that shit and share it with the world. Like, just out of pure, slight pettiness. The same pettiness that has carried me to do all these lessons for free, right? So that I can say a big fuck you to art schools because they take advantage of so many people. So me giving this info to all of you guys, it doesn't necessarily come out of like the goodness of my heart, just necessarily. It does, but it's like, it's a big fuck you to the art schools. Because anybody that finds my channel you guys won't require to go to art school. If you go and just watch my videos, you guys can learn everything that I learned and much more just from watching and executing the little things that I give you guys. So that is why I do what I do. Most of the stuff that I do in my life has a big component of emotion to it. So I got to be very passionate about something in order to be very good at it. And that normally doesn't come really easy. That passion is normally and I'm a very nice person. Like, oh my God, I'm like the sweetest human being you've ever met. But like, do me dirty once and I get enjoyment from it. Because it unlocks like an ability to go into petty mode Rod. And I don't have access to petty mode Rod on a daily basis. Like, he doesn't come out. Like, he only comes out when he's needed. Like, he's like comes out when like young, like little, like happy, positive Rod gets beat up by a bully. And then like, big brother, mean asshole, petty Rod comes out and he's like, oh, well, someone fucked with my little brother, so I'm gonna fuck with her, beat you up. And then like that guy doesn't go away. So it's just yeah. So I started a YouTube channel so that I could help people out. And then when I realized that what I was really doing was trying to teach all the stuff that I was not taught in art college, well, at that point, I was like, oh, yeah, let's just make this pettiness grow like exponentially. Let's just make it go overboard. Screw it. Let's just make our whole stigma a fuck you to art schools. Let's make sure that you guys know how to feed yourselves and maintain yourselves with stimulation and actually understand what the industry is going to demand of you. Because nobody tells you that. Nobody at all. No one shares that knowledge with you. And we all get blindsided when we don't have that expertise or that one inside person to tell us that. Like, if you don't know shit, you are lost. You are setting foot in like deep waters and you do not know how far or how deep those waters go. You're just hoping you don't drown. Right? And that sucked. That was horrible for me. Because even though I'm a good salesman and I had a lot of other things that I could bring to the table outside of my art, I didn't want to. I paid money to go to art school to learn skills that would teach me how to be valuable in the art community. So that's what I wanted to do. I desperately wanted to do that. So I just took any jobs that were creative and I felt like a cop-out. But eventually I would just use them as learning tools. So I would stay at a company for about, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, a year, whatever it took for me to learn something valuable that I could use for myself, right? The moment that I learned something valuable that I could use for my own career, I moved on from that company. So the first one was video editing. So the moment that I learned video editing, I was like, okay, cool. Now I can make my own videos. I can make a YouTube channel if I need to. Awesome. Quit that job. Went to caricatures. Then I started drawing caricatures. And then I got fairly decent at drawing people's faces. Obviously, I do that a lot. I am quite good at understanding people's faces now, right? So I learned that skill, and then I moved on. Then I went to illustration work, editorial work, graphic design, marketing, advertising, everything that I would need for my career to be successful as an own self-employed artist. So what do I need to learn to become my own boss? And eventually, all those jobs were essentially my college. Every job that I took was something that taught me something required in order to get to the job that I wanted, which was to be self-employed and an illustrator and an artist and a teacher. And all the things that I needed can't be taught in school, but they can be taught through jobs. And they pay you for it. Right? So if you are not at the job that you want right now, if you are not at the job or the goal is to do something else like comics or whatever, right? Like if your goal is to draw in a certain specific way, to work at a studio like Nickelodeon, and you want to like work on SpongeBob and you want to do like cartoons for people and stuff, right? So if you want to do that sort of work, then what you got to do is you got to learn how to draw all these things, right? What you want to do is just literally if what you enjoy. Think about it like this. Don't think about what you want to do. No, fuck that. Like, stop thinking like that. Okay? It's not about what you like. It's what you can do repetitively without being bored. That is the fucking key right there. That is the secret to this whole art career thing. Like, if you are able to do something for prolonged periods of time, right? Like, you can do this nonstop for prolonged periods of time and not get bored as fuck doing it, that's your career. So if you're going to go into a career, go into something that you love doing so much that you can do that forever. In my case, it's drawing. I can draw all day. The only reason I stop is because my hand hurts. And that's from drawing so much. So if you find that one thing that you absolutely love to do, and you can do it for hours and hours, and you're good at it, that's it. That's your career. That's what should be your career. It's not what like, oh, ideally this, ideally that. Like, no. Right now, as an adult, once you get to adulthood, maybe if you're a kid, you still have like the dreams and like the things, right? Like you still have like a lot to grow and like learn. So if you're a kid, advice is not for you. Okay? This is for an adult. This is for a grown-up that has been doing this for a while, and you don't really know where your path is, and you don't know exactly where you want to go, but you still want to do creative stuff. Okay, so this is what I tell my friends whenever they tell me this, because it's a common issue amongst creative people. Okay, take into consideration what you love. Okay, that's step one. What do you love to do in your art? Without that, there's nothing else. Okay, so what do you love about your art? From there, what about this that you love are you good at? Or better than others? Okay? At that one thing you do, what can you say that you can do better than other people or better than the average? Not huge. You don't have to be a fucking Picasso. You just have to be better than average at that thing. Okay? You can always move up in skill level. But you have to know that you are a little bit above average than the average human being at that one thing you love in order for that fuel to be there. Because you need that superiority at that one thing in order to feel proud. Okay? And you need pride in what you do in order to be willing to push forth and actually do more and push into like a segment that other people have not yet gone to, because that is fucking hard. Okay, venturing into the world of a path that no one else has paved is fucking hard. And it's really, really, really hard. So if you don't have this love for it, and you just think it's another career and it's something easy, oh fuck, dude, you're screwed. Like, this is not gonna last. Like, if this is not there, your career in that one aspect of that one thing that you think that you love so much, it's not gonna last if you don't have that love for it, especially in art. So let's move on from there. Something that you love and something about that thing that you love that you're good at. Let's say that you're not really all that great at art, but you are really good at talking about art. So therefore, you could be a commentator. You could be a person that like goes in like museums and like curates things and talks to people. There's so many parallel paths if you don't even know how to draw, but you love art. Right? So even if you don't have the skill to draw, you still have options with that. And you need to just find one that is suitable, that is parallel to the path that you want to take. So now we have something that you're a little bit better than other people at, be it in the skill or be it in some other way within that field. Okay? Like, then you have to find a way that you can actually make money with that. This is also a very hard equation to match up with because what you love sometimes doesn't have a field. Maybe it doesn't have a market. Maybe it doesn't exist. So what do you do at that point, right? Well, like I said, if something in the world is not in the world and it doesn't exist, make it. Create your own niche. That is how people fucking go from zero to everything. In this day and age, finding that original thought, that original dance, that original drawing, that original process is everything. Originality in this world of AI and like constant repetition in the same fucking song every other TikTok, right? In this world where we are so like comfortable with the conformity that comes with just repetition and the same shit, we crave originality. So whenever you are thinking about what you want to do as an artist, what is normally the most creative is going to probably be the most lucrative. So be original with it and try to go places other people haven't. So if you have this little formula, these little 3 elements, you can find your career, even if it's not in a path that you are necessarily like super skilled at right now. So that could be anything, guys. Like if you like character design, cool. Let's say that you don't get into character design, but you love character design. So you love drawing characters and you love like posing them and you like doing all these things to them, right? You're like, oh, I love character design. So what if you don't get a job in character design? What do you do then? Like, you know how to draw all these skilled characters and you know how to draw them awesome and stuff, right? Well, if you go in the employment route, if you don't get a job in character design, what you could do is go to t-shirt design, product design, fashion design. You could do things for magazines. You could do illustration work in general because you're probably a very good illustrator at that point. So you could get into print. You could make your own things and go to conventions, put together books, concept books, pitch books. All that stuff is stuff that you could do with the skills, and it's parallel to what you want to do. All those how to draw books that you have you ever thought of just sitting down and making one of those for a random story that you have? Just like taking one drawing and then that's the first page. And then just keep drawing. If you like the theme, if you like the topic, you're going to draw 1,000,000 drawings of that same thing. Eventually, you'll have enough for a book. And then that book can get you in the work that you need because you can use this as pitch books, like networks, because they're craving for original shit, and then pitch it so that you can be your own character designer in your own series. So if they don't hire you, you make it happen by other means. It just takes a little bit of creativity to be able to see that undirect path to what you want to get to. Let's say that you want to draw comics, right? And you want to get into Marvel and you want to get into all those things and you want like cool superheroes like Spider-Man and Deadpool and and you want to draw the web slinger and you want to draw them all like cool in your own fashion and whatever, right? You want to take your own approach and you want to work from comics. Well, what do you do to get into stuff like this if you really, really love it and you are not very good at drawing? Well, the first thing you do is you start drawing comics. Literally, like every day, draw a 15-minute comic, even if it's just a stick figure of a dude walking and getting from one side to the other, right? If you do that, you have drawn a story. Congratulations, you have drawn something moving. Awesome. I'm pretty sure you can do something better than just a stick figure, though. So you can take the time to draw your characters doing something and then using that and just moving them along the page. If you can do that, awesome. That's a great exercise. What do you do now? Well, now within, let's say, 4 storyboards instead of 3, tell a story. Well, he goes from here to here to here. Why did he do that? So now it's setup, 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 result. Perfect. Now you have a web comic. Now you can do web comics every day with simple drawings and just keep that going until you get better at adding detail. You don't have to share them. You don't have to post them online, but you need to do them in order to get better. So maybe the first time you draw them like that. Well, maybe the next time you start adding close-ups and you start adding like emotion and like thought bubbles and you like change perspective sometimes. And maybe it's just like Tarantino heads, right? Like maybe just heads talking to each other and then just have dialogue. If you're not very good at drawing, come up with really cool dialogue and then draw happy faces. Fuck it. Who cares? Get it out. Get it done. The moment that you're like, oh, well, I'm not ready yet. I'm going to wait until I'm done with this course. And then this course is going to... I'm like, no, dude, just fucking do it. You can redo it later. Like, sometimes someone just has to fucking tell us, be like, hey, dude, like, how about we just start on that comic? Like, oh, well, I don't know what the story's going. Like, I don't give a fuck. Just start it. Like, draw the cover. Maybe when you draw the cover, you'll realize that something snaps and like, oh, okay, maybe that is cool. Oh, okay. But getting that stupid pen on the paper is the hardest part. Actually taking your pencil and going is the hardest part sometimes. And when you just start doing it, you'll spend hours working on your project. Maybe it just doesn't go anywhere. Maybe you just keep on refining a cover over and over and you're like, oh my God, this looks bad. Oh my God. But every mistake you make right now is a mistake you got out of the way. And every single time you draw something new, if it doesn't look like you want it to, let's draw him eating a snack. If it doesn't come out how you want it to, guess what? Write a note, arm is wrong. And then change it over your sketch. I don't care if it's messy. Tell yourself that. It's fine. If you have to redo it later, clean it up later, whatever. You're telling yourself that, okay, cool, that mistake I made, it's not a mistake anymore. I fixed it. And then the next time I make that same mistake, I'm going to be like, okay, hold on. That was, okay, overlap. Cool. Okay. So the more times you tell your brain with little notes and scribbles, even if it's a scribble, it doesn't matter if you're just like, oh, that nose looks weird. And then you just draw over it. Right. And then tell yourself nose. No, like that will alone let you know that next time you're going to pay more attention to it so you don't tell yourself you made a mistake. And that is how you learn. That is how you use your sketchbook to learn. That's the only tool you need. That is how I have personally progressed leaps and bounds over the last 2 years. Like, I have filled out seven sketchbooks in the last year, and all of them like full of anatomy drawings. Every single one stock full of anatomy drawings like this, right? Every single page with a theme and telling me myself what I got to learn. I share it with you guys. I get to test. I talk with you guys while I do this most of the time in our streams, but it's still me teaching you guys and learning at the same time. So I learn alongside you guys. Teaching you helps me learn. So I do this selfishly at the same time as being generous. So it's like, like, and then I released this, like all these books that I released, the art block books, they're all these sketches. They're all thousands and thousands of lessons and examples of those lessons and refinement of those lessons, all of them in the art block books. That's thousands of drawings and references, guys, that you guys can freely use for your own crap. Like, I give you guys permission to use anything within my book for your own references. Go for it. Use it. Like, a double-edged sword. What's a what are you saying is a double-edged sword? 1,000. Yeah, dude, I draw a ridiculous amount. Like, there's a reason my hand hurts at the end of the day when I'm finished drawing. Like, and I still want to sit down and draw more. Like, it's just an addiction at some point. The pinup book, it's got delayed a little bit because I wanted to have a day off. So, I was going to tell you guys about my day off too. So that's, they'll talk about my life on this date, like Sunday. It is Sunday, right? So one of my pool team players, my teammates, invited me to go hang out at the zoo today. So we got to go look at the animals. We got brunch, and then I ended up realizing that I have some pretty cool teammates. Like, I have really cool people in my teams. So let's see, what should we just draw? Let's draw heads while I just talk. So the first thing that we did, we went to eat breakfast, and it was awesome. We went to this little breakfast nook place. And then from there, it's really funny. Like, you get to understand that, like, the people in your life are so different than what you imagine them to be when you actually get to know them. Like, you would never, in my life, would have ever thought, like, some of the things that came out of this little girl's mouth. Like, I was like, what? Like, no way. And, things that, like, we had in common a lot. And it was just really fun to, like, get to connect with people and have, like, the same wavelength as you. And, like, not even in a romantic way. Like, it wasn't a romantic thing. It was just more like just actually getting to know the person that I've been, like, hanging out with for, like, a year. It's like the people that I play with every week. And it's just, like, super cool to be able to actually see them for the people that they are, as opposed to the people that I have made up myself in my head who they are. Because it's fascinating. It's a fascinating thing. Everybody's opinion of you is different. Okay? Every single human being's opinion of you is very different than what you think they think of you. Because that person you have in your brain is not shown to everybody. That person in your brain is only the way that you know you. Other people see you in a very different way than you see yourself. And no matter how you portray yourself to people, it's always going to be based on first impressions and the ability of them to exclude their own versions of people that have come into contact with them earlier in their lives that resemble in any way how you behave. Like, it's so weird. And the more that I meet like human beings in general, like the more that I actually like meet like people and actually get to know them instead of just doing the platitude of just like, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm doing fine. How's the house? Like, I hate that crap. Like, hate small talk. I fucking hate it. Like, I will run away from people. Like, I just don't have the heart for it. Right. Like, I'm not the talk about the weather guy. I'm the, what do you guys think the meaning of life is? And what is the meaning of your life type of guy? So whenever I get to actually talk to people and like actually get to identify how different they are than how I am, and like it's just like so cool to me to be able to do that. So today I got to go to the zoo. I got to meet like my teammate that I've been hanging out with for like a year. I finally got to like actually know what like that person was about, and it was awesome. Like, I actually want to be friends with this person, and I don't say that often. So it was like all it took was one day of actually being honest with people, and like to make a nice connection with a human being that was not my intention at all, like ever. Like, it was just really weird, and like it just came out of nowhere. And like I said, it's not like a romantic thing or anything, but we have a shit ton in common. And that was really cool to actually meet a human being that was like into that same wavelength as me. Now I get to do cool things, with a part of that person that is into the same stuff I am. That was just really, really, really cool for me to experience that, since I don't really get to do that often. I got to do that this whole year, though. This whole year was awesome for me. Like, so far, it's been really nice. I got to live in Scotland for a couple months, and even though it didn't work out like I wanted there, it just ended up being a fantastic opportunity to experience life somewhere else. So that was really cool. And then I moved back to the States, and then I lived in San Diego for a little bit, and then I moved to Tijuana. So I've lived in 3 countries in 1 year. Ugh. For a person that's always looking for their forever home, that is incredibly stressful, by the way. So like, it's just, yeah. So I'm happy to just right now have like cemented myself. I'm going to start building my own little like life over here around my home down in TJ, and hopefully make friends here at some point. But I don't know. I'm a very solitary person by choice. So I don't know if I'll venture out and do that. That's why I have my streams, and I love talking and like having like my energy saved for all this. Like, this is what I enjoy. This is what I like doing. I like just talking about the things I like. And if I don't get to have that in my real life with my real life interactions, well then, guess what? Just like with the work, I'm going to make it happen. Like, if I don't have the ability to have what I want and require out of life, I'm going to make it happen if no one else can provide it. And that comes down all the way to a sketch session and talking about the things I love, Challenge to draw a same face at all times with different actions and orders. Well, if you want to keep consistent and you want to actually draw the same character over and over, it's not very hard. Like, it takes a couple steps, but you're going to be able to do so if you practice these exercises. So if you just draw a little ball and you draw 2 intersecting lines, you're going to get like a little dot right here, right? Well, I want you to draw a circle around that. And then you're going to use that dot as your nose. So you're going to have a nose, you're going to have 2 eyes, and you're going to have a mouth. Now, pay attention at the spacing in between everything. So once you start drawing this shape in other directions, you can start doing those faces and then start mapping out your points based on that nose. The reason that you draw this circle is because your face is not always reaching to the edges of your actual face. So when you transfer that later on to your actual drawings with your anatomy, you're not going to be guessing where things go. The moment that you start applying your actual anatomy and you learn your mapping points, you're going to find it incredibly easy to transition from something simple to something anatomically correct. If you learn from the start how to map these things out, you're not going to have a hard time learning how to stylize or draw different things. Okay? It's going to be relatively easy for you to go from style to style and draw anything you really want. From like little chibi characters to like manga to anime to web comics to like animation stuff to whatever, dude. Like at that point, it's just your choice of like field that you want to go into. Like the amount of detail that you add to your illustration is going to like keep it in certain realms. So if you add a lot of detail, you're not going to be able to animate it. But if you add too simplicity, it might not really look very good for comics, you know? So it's just like you have to learn those balances and just learn how to like draw appealing things for different fields. Doesn't always have to be that same style that you draw. Like I said, you can do different styles and create different, appealing things for people. So as you progress in your career and you learn more and more and more about like body shapes and anatomy, you'll start realizing that a lot of the body parts that you draw are very similar too, by the way. Like, you guys want to know like a really cool trick? Like, there is a certain body part that teaches you pretty much everything else in the body. You can relate this one shape to everything else. I'm just going to check. I should save this and be like, oh, tease you guys, but nah, okay. So if you learn how to do this little part right here, if you draw a circle, if you learn how to curve your shape and create this little shape out of a sphere, that is the magical shape that will help you draw absolutely everything. You guys want to see why? Well, let's say you want to draw a face. A face is actually really easy to draw if you just draw this little ribcage shape in the front, because it gives you the bottom part of the face and it gives you the top part of the face really, really quickly. It gives you the roundness that you need around your nose bridge, and it teaches you the way to draw the actual cheekbones. So this shape is very, very strong when it comes down to drawing the face. You draw that shape, you draw a little rib cage, you draw a little middle part of the rib cage, and you have a perfect placing for your nose and your bottom jaw. So you can draw characters of any age by just drawing the jaw or this little bottom section, either small for like a little petite character, or you make that jaw large for any other type of characters you might want. So that is a very powerful tool and shape to know. It's not an easy shape to do that, but learning how to do this is very simple. Draw a circle. Draw another circle. This is going to give you a guideline in the front or in the back or going this way from the front. It's open to interpretation at that point. At one of these lines, go up and mark a little dot. You're going to draw a little curve going from the bottom of your shape, going up. And then as you go up here, you're going to follow this shape around, creating that little hole. That little hole is going to be where your nose comes out of and your jaw is going to connect to the sides. And that is how you draw a face out of a ribcage shape. So let's move on to another body part that you can use this body part shape with. Well, your arms have, let's say, wrists. So if you have your hand, and your hand is coming out, and you have your lollipop approach. I teach this in a bunch of videos, so if you guys want to learn how to draw your hands really easy, go learn that approach. It's really good, and it works fantastically in like a bunch of different situations. So let's say that we have our thumb right there, we have our wrist, and we want to connect the wrist to the arm. Well, right here, if you draw this shape, it gives you the perfect placement for your wrist. You just draw a rib cage on top of your actual arm. And guess what that does? It gives you limits to how far you can move your hand. Because you can only move it up and here. You can't move it left and right because this is blocking it at that point. So it gives you the limits to where you can draw your hands. That's kind of cool, huh? So again, let's start the other way. Your wrists are going to come down to your hand. The end of your hand, just draw a rib cage, man. It's actually easy. Just draw a little circle and then just draw a rib cage. Like just connect the rib cage to the sides. And then just have your hand come out of there. I teach that you don't have to draw a box for your hands, by the way. Like drawing a box hand is going to give you a boxy look. If you don't draw things in the same plane, like you can change every finger differently, by the way. And then just draw the outside edges, you get your palm. Like this is a weird wrist, by the way. This has to be wider for the wrist. So when you're drawing hands, I have fucking horrible ADHD brain, by the way. So if I jump around, I'm so sorry. But like I just jump from one thing to another. So for hands, come up with your wrist. And your wrist is going to be like a rib cage. Let's keep that consistent. So from here, I'm going to take a middle point from the back of my wrist, and I'm going to draw a lollipop. That lollipop is going to be my first knuckle. This is my middle knuckle. This is going to be this knuckle. Okay, the middle one. So my middle finger is already there. Well, how many fingers do I have to my left? I have 2. So to my pinky side, I'm going to have 2 more knuckles. I'm going to have 1 knuckle to my thumb side. So it's going to be behind it. I'm going to trace like I would a cylinder and just trace the outside edges. And I have a palm. Magically, it's the thing that goes around your fingers. Then cylinders come out here. You can draw little bean bags if you want. 2 equal sized bean bags. Okay. So now we have our beanbag fingers. And the reason that I divided them into 2 equal parts, it's not because I want to make them cartoony. No. Here, let me show you why. So if you divide a finger into 2 parts, What do you guys think you're measuring here? Well, you're not measuring from this edge. No, 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 no. We have a knuckle. We're using the knuckle that we use to measure. That is a measurement tool. This is not just a circle. This is going to give us a lot. This is going to give us the top and the bottom of our hand, the width of our hand, and the width of our fingers. All that within that little circle. Understanding this little circle from our wrist is crucial. This is the width of our hand. So if we draw the other fingers, they're going to be the palm of our hand. It also gives me the width of my actual thumb or my finger, and it's going to tell me the top and the bottom of my hand. So all of those things are within that one little lollipop. So all that information is just by drawing a little stick coming from your actual wrist. All that information. Each finger has its own perspective. But now let me explain to you guys why I divided into two. Why two parts? Okay. So if you measure from this bottom part of your knuckle to the middle of your first knuckle, it's the same exact distance as the two parts of your finger. So it's an equal division between those two parts. Now, this top part isn't always the most bendy. Not everybody has the ability to bend this very much. It only really gets bent more the more you curve it, right? So it only comes into consideration as two parts whenever you get really close to a bendy line. So if you have your hands open like this, why would you try to divide it into three when you can easily do it in two? Because they're not really doing anything until you're curving them. But when you do decide that you want to curve your fingers, how do you do that? Well, it's actually really easy. Just divide the top part into two. So you're going to have two equal parts from your knuckle. Right? So that's going to be our average finger. And then when you want to get more realistic, you divide this top part into two. And then you have your two little sections and your longer section for your fingers. So when you start bending them, just remember that distance has to be the same distance as here. So as you start bending them and they start getting curvature, you start getting the feeling of them being more real. See what I mean? So fingers, you divide them into two. And if you need to, you divide that top section again to bend your finger. Simple enough, right? Right? Do you do any digital drawings on iPad? Oh yeah, I do digital stuff all the time. Like if you guys saw the pinup book that I have, like, woo, you guys would understand how good I am at digital work. Like you guys have no idea. Like I pride myself in my digital work heavily. Like I have a really, really, you guys want to see it? If you guys want to check it out, like go to rodgon.com. Rodgon.com. That's my website. Go check it out. Go in the illustration section and just have fun with it. Just enjoy it. There's a bunch of cool stuff there. So let's talk a little bit more about the hand. Okay. So now that we know how to draw the fingers, well, all our fingers are going to be facing different directions. Like every finger is so mobile. They're like little tentacles more than they are like actual bone structures to me. It feels like they wrap around things. They just like, right? They just move independently from each other and they all have different ways of moving. So the fingers don't go in a straight line, period. They just don't. Learning how to draw a palm based on just those knuckles is going to be very crucial in order to being able to draw really interesting shapes, right? Being able to draw interesting hand shapes is going to be a very crucial job if you want to actually get good in animation or anything. And then, You can learn little tricks like combining fingers, blah, 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 blah. But learning how to actually draw your hand from any position is going to be very important. That's like one of the most important, one of the hardest things to learn. But it's very easier to understand if you just think about it as individual parts instead of thinking it as a big, huge segment. Right? Think of your hand in its multiple parts. Think of your palm after finding your knuckle. Once you find your knuckle, this is going to be the general width of the other ones as well. Like, I don't go into minuscule detail, like thinking like the pinky one is smaller, like stuff like that at first is really confusing. So just keep them the same size. Just move them around. Like, don't keep them in a straight line. Okay. Make your palm the contour of your circles, because that's just your knuckles, and you're drawing essentially the width right here. Imagine I chop my fingers off. You would see that flatness going around. So that is essentially what you're drawing. Each finger is going to go in its own special way. So that is why it's important to learn your perspective, because your perspective is going to allow you to draw things going in different directions and foreshortening and all that stuff. Okay. That is why perspective is needed in drawing. It's not so you draw them on environments and buildings and shit. Don't be silly. And when I say don't be silly, I mean don't be dumb. Because it took me 20 years to realize this. Don't be Rod. Don't do that same mistake. Okay? Perspective is to be able to pose things, to be able to draw them looking cool, to be able to draw them in space, to be able to draw them doing cool things in cool, interesting ways, no matter how simple or how complex the character is. That is why we learn perspective, to be able to move these characters in space doing silly things that don't ever happen in real life. That is why we learn perspective, so we can tell the stories that we want the way we want them, regardless of reality playing a role or not. Okay? We don't always have the ability to get reference for what we want to draw, but we can get really close to it by trying to draw as much as we can all the time so that we get better at everything from posing to anatomy to perspective to all those things that we really want to get good at. All that comes from actually just understanding the very basics. And I know that sounds silly, right? Like, everybody tells you that shit. Everybody's like, oh, just draw from perspective. Yeah, you got to learn perspective. But nobody tells you why. Like, nobody explains to you or shows you or demonstrates to you or like explains in a drawing why. Like, nobody sits down and draws with you and tells you this is why you fucking need it. You see your little feet like that you draw? Like, little, like, draw feet like this? Well, guess what it would take to make this into a depth drawing? This. That's it. Learning how to draw around your shape. That is all it would take for that drawing to look awesome and not flat. Learning a little bit more, like, like just slight shadows of depth and line work. And like, when you start learning more about like clothing and stuff like that, you can go and pimp out these things like crazy. And all you needed to do is be able to see lines differently than just flat like this. It's the same shape. All you need to do is learn how to see the volume. And that only happens if you start drawing exercises like your spheres, your cylinders, your cubes. And then you start playing with those in longer, you start expanding them, changing the direction in which you do these things. Get masterful at being able to draw this in any direction. Change the sizes of your cones to make cones instead of cubes. If you want to make things like pyramids, all you do is a dot and then make a triangle at the bottom. Things like pyramids, for example, are very useful because when you draw your nose, all you need to do is draw a triangle on your face, draw a dot, connect 3 parts to make a pyramid, and then you draw whatever detail you want. And that is how you draw noses. Really easy. So learning how to draw a simple triangle in perspective is all you need to draw any nose you feel like. That's it. That's all it really takes. Like learning how to draw this shape will teach you how to draw noses in every perspective. Every single perspective. It does not limit you. It doesn't take it. That's it. Like all you need to learn is the little basic how you want to curve it. Want to draw them down? Cool. Triangle, dot down. Connect all 3 lines. It even gives me the middle of my nose bridge, for God's sakes. Like, what else do you need from that very basic guideline? We overthink things so much. So much. Like eyes are literally just 2 dots connected by a curvy line. And then that little curve, whatever curve point that you have, like let's say that the max curve point is going to be here, just match it on the bottom. So that's the max point, that's the max curve, and then make the line on top darker, overlap it a tiny bit, and you have eyes from anime eyes to just simple cartoon eyes to more realistic ones. Eyes are easy. It's just understanding and unlearning all the shit that we learned. Someone taught us one day that it was an almond, right? Someone taught us that. And that's actually technically right. That is the way that the eye is shaped. Okay? So drawing eyes like that is very easy. But understanding what you're drawing is very hard. Understanding that this is not just a little almond shape. This is a sphere because your eyeball is a spherical shape. The anatomical part underneath is a sphere. And therefore, these are just hemispheres that are going from one point to the other around my sphere, giving me curvature. Essentially doing the same exercise as doing a circle inside of a circle. Getting that curvature going around. You overlap the top one a little bit, and then you get to decide whatever eyelashes you want to draw. If you want to draw them like this, if you want to draw them all cool, like anime style, right? Whatever you want to do with the eyelashes is up to you. If you want to make slanted eyes, all it takes is drawing instead of the 2 dots like this, like instead of drawing them like this, you're going to elevate this one, and then you're going to draw it to that one. And that's all it takes to draw a slanted, sexy eye. Or a downward eye. It's only going to make it happen if you curve it down. And guess what happens? It looks like a slanted eye too, but the other way around. Let's make it sad by adding the eyebrows. See what I mean? So eyes aren't hard. Oh, what? 3/4? It's easy to draw them like this, Rod. What about if it's an actual person? Like what happens if you do these in let's draw a face. Okay, cool. Let's draw a triangle. We'll draw a dot. Connect all 3 lines. Cool. I have an awesome little nose already. Awesome. Dope. That wasn't hard. Then from there, I'm going to draw a dot about how wide I want my nose bridge. I want my nose bridge to be about that wide. So I'm going to draw my 2 initial dots for my eyes. And then how wide up do I want them to make them? Like I want them looking with normal, like Caucasian eyes, just looking down. Do I want them with like cool, like upward eyes? Those are really hard, right? So supposedly. So let's draw them up. So we'll draw from here. If I follow this line around, all I need to do is draw something above that line. So let's draw a dot here. We're going to match that over here by matching it with our circle inside our guideline, and we're going to match it right there. That's the same height. So with a curvy line, I'm going to go from here to here. With a curvy line, I'm going to go from here to here. I'm going to connect the bottom line with a slightly thinner line. It's still going to be curvy though. Cool. And then I get to decide whatever style I want for the inside. Cool. 2 dots, 2 curvy lines, and overlapping the top one a little bit will give me the desired look for eyes. You're welcome. Go draw. Guess what? The mouth is the exact same. Dot, dot. Curvy line. Connecting. Can't draw 2 connecting lines. Curvy line. Overlap the top one and darken it a little bit. Instead of drawing your eye, you're going to draw negative space. You have a mouth. You're welcome. Oh, lips? Oh, lips are easy as hell too. Dot, dot, curvy line, overlap the top one, and then from the edges of here, draw your lips inside your shape. It's so easy. Dot, dot, curvy line, overlap the top one, and then draw whatever lips I want connected to those lines. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. Oh, what about pouty lips, Rod? Well, dot, dot, big pouty lip, overlap the top line, draw the inside. Draw whatever details I want. And I have mega pouty lips. Oh, but what about if you open your mouth, Rod? What if it happens? Oh my God. Did you stop? Oh, no, it's not hard. Just draw a bigger circle. Dot, dot. Let's overlap the top one. And then let's give it a lip, a little lip. And then we'll give this bottom lip a little bit of girth too. But let's draw some like crazy caricaturist type of thing. Because it's not just for simple shit. So as you learn these techniques, right, of just doing these simple concepts that have been taught to us so difficult that make us think that we aren't good at what we do. Right? Being taught wrong is worse than repeating the same mistake over and over. Being taught wrong will guide you through your whole career thinking something's hard when it's not. So, I hope that today, so far, you guys have been learning a little bit. How do you get better at dimensions? Learn how to view dimensions. So if what you're doing when you're drawing is when you draw a circle, what do you see when you draw a circle? A lot of people say that they just see a line. They see a ball. They see a little ball, circle, whatever. What I see is this. I see a gigantic amount of lines going around my shape. I visualize things like, before I even draw anything, Those things already have line and like they have line weight, they have grids, they have perspective, they have texture before I even think about putting my pen on paper. I already know I'll have all this in my brain before I even draw a single line. But when you see this, you'll see a darker line from my initial sketch. Even my initial sketch has a darker line right there. That's to represent the line that I would get from the shadows from my line work, from my lines being from that light source. That is how much I put into my detail of thinking when I'm actually sketching. It's not, most of the lines that I draw are not dead lines. It's gotten to the point where I'm drawing and everything is going to have a purpose. If I'm dividing this into three, that tends to be the face. I'm going to draw a face with this shape because that's going to mean that my features are going to end up in this midsection. And everything else is going to be like the ears and stuff like that are already mapped out for me. I don't have to think about it. I just get to be creative. And that's because I've practiced this so much that it's just innate. It comes naturally. I don't think about it anymore. I don't guess. And if you don't guess, you get to be creative when you don't guess. When you take away the guesswork, when you stop like trying to figure shit out, that's when you let your imagination go wild. And that is what your foundations do for you. That's what perspective does for you. So just doing little cylinders and shit, like don't just draw an entire page of cylinders for God's sakes. Don't just spend all day doing this shit and not actually being like, okay, cool. How do I use this? Like, how do I actually use this? Like I drew a cylinder. Fantastic. I can draw two circles connected by a line. Ooh, that's so hard. Okay. So now what do I do with this? How can I use this to draw something cool? Right? How do I use all these lines that I've drawn and practice so much? And I use this to draw things in different perspectives and different views and shit. Well, you start off by actually acknowledging the dimensions in between. You got to learn to be like, okay, I'm going to draw a point right here. What happens if I draw a straight line across and I want to find the other side? Well, that's the other side of my head. So if I drew an ear right here, the other ear has to be over here. That's really cool. Awesome. Let's move on to the next cylinder. This next cylinder is going to map my, eyes. Doing this little thing like this kind of gives me all the things that I need, like my eyebrows, my eyes, and my nose bridge. Cool. I have now used that to draw a body part. Something that is going to help me later. Awesome. Next cylinder. What can I do with the cylinder that's going to help me? Okay, maybe I learned how to slice my, like a little shape out of it. Like maybe I want to cut out a little part. Okay. So that's the perspective. So it would give me, that. And like maybe I want to slice off different parts of my shape. And then slowly learn how to use these guidelines to get a slightly more complex shapes from these very basic shapes. And as you start slicing your shapes up with your guidelines, you start seeing that when you cut into parts in certain angles, you're going to end up with certain surfaces. And they all get followed by the circles inside the circles. So as you start finding out how intersecting lines create different surface entrances for your things, what does that start looking like? Like an open mouth, right? Cool. So now that we know that two intersecting lines are an open mouth, what happens if I start drawing them closer together? Oh, that's starting to close the mouth. That's fascinating. What happens if we keep going it a little bit smaller? Huh. That's pretty cool, huh? What happens if I just darken one side? Huh. That starts looking kind of like lips, doesn't it? That starts looking a little bit like mouths, doesn't it? How do you draw a hand holding something? Okay, let's draw a hand holding something. So let's draw that something first. Let's draw a cup. I don't know. People hold cups. That's a common thing, right? So we'll draw something inside, like liquid. So now we're going to draw a hand wrapping around this. So now the first thing that I got to find is where my wrist is. So I'm going to draw a wrist because I need the wrist. I need to know where my wrist is so I know where my hand is going to start. So I'm going to draw a dot at the top of my wrist. Yes, we talked about this being like a little rib cage, but I'll keep it nice and simple for now. So from here, I got to find my first knuckle. So how is this cup going to be held? If it's going to be held like this, if it's going to be held with your arm open, if it's going to be held with like a palm, your finger, whatever, you got to figure out how you're going to hold it. So in this case, I'm going to switch this to the other side because I want that other side to be the top, not the bottom part. So from here, I'm going to find my first knuckle, and my first knuckle is going to probably be close to the edge of the actual shape because my finger has to wrap around it. So it's probably going to be touching the edge of the actual thing. Right? That's my middle knuckle, and I'm going to connect that to my actual wrist. From there, I get to draw 3 more knuckles. One to my thumb side. I'm not even going to draw it on the cup. I'm going to draw it like here because I'm going to draw it like a finger doing something cool. I'm going to draw another finger holding the cup. So I draw it on top of that. And then the other pinky, well, I'm a gentleman and I like my pinky up in the air. So I'm going to draw my pinky up in the air. From there, I'm going to connect the edges of these. And that is going to give me the palm of my hand. You're wondering why it looks a little weird, right? The moment that you start adding your fingers, you'll start seeing the shape of your hand come alive. Your thumb is going to come about halfway up your hand, and we can draw the end of the thumb. The thumb is going to, I'm going to draw the tip of the thumb first because that's what's touching the cup. And then from there, I got to figure out how I get back to this section. And there's 3 parts to your thumb, by the way. You have your base, you have your stick, and you have your tip. So I think about these like the stick shift part of a car, right? That's how I always think about them. So from the middle right here, I have my base. That's my stick going here. So it's going to be roughly around there. The cup is right here. And then you would see the wrist a little bit because I already drew the palm of my hand. And that's how you would draw something holding something from a weird, awesome position instead of just a flat thing. But if you just wanted to do something really simple and you just wanted to draw a cartoon holding something, there's an easier way. Draw this and then just draw like noodles going around, right? Just draw little lines going around and then fill in the circles. And that's how you draw things going around. Like if you don't want to go into that whole explanation, just draw circles going around and then draw that. Boom. Now you have hands going around. Boom. Like, so if you don't want to think about the complicated thing, you can do that. Okay, I'm not going to be drawing hands doing different things. I'm teaching you how to draw the hand. How about you experiment with it before you ask me more? So play around with the concept. I'm pretty sure that you're not going to master this in one day or even in an hour. So if you learn to practice your cylinders and then just draw big cylinders going into little cylinders, and you're going to get that perspective of something going into your face. So when you draw your knuckles, draw them over here, and then you're going to have somebody pointing towards you. See what I mean? So it's all about perspective again. Perspective, perspective, perspective is so important. Can you do the hand trick? Yeah. Okay. Do you guys want to find something, another silly thing? So today we discovered a couple things, right? We discovered, here, let me zoom out. We discovered that the eyes and the mouth are the same fucking shape. Okay, so we discovered that. Woohoo! We discovered that the rib cage and the face. So that's the rib cage into the head, the face, the ankles, and the wrists all have that same little shape. All of them. Use this shape to your advantage. It's super strong. This little shape, this little curvature cross thingy that happens like a rib cage, it happens throughout your whole body. It even happens in the upper parts of your arm. Like this is how your arms connect. Okay? This is how your arms move, and the easiest way for you to learn how the elbow and stuff like that works too. Because that's how your body moves. It's kind of like a mannequin. Okay. So that's what we learned today so far. So then so that is what we learned. Then we learned a little bit about the hands. And then I'm going to show you guys something really, really silly. The hands and the feet are the exact same, only you don't have thumbs. It's even easier to draw your feet than to draw the hand. I'm going to explain it in this little tiny space. This little tiny space of a Post-it is enough to teach you guys how to draw legs really good. Let me show you. So we'll draw a cylinder. Let's have a knee. We have a knee right here and the person's right here. And we have our thigh. So we're going to draw a cylinder going down. But Rod, how do you find the feet from there? That's just too simple. Well, you know that little cylinder that we draw has perspective. So if you find the perspective lines by drawing little circles inside that match the top or the bottom, you're going to end up with a little circle. If you want to make the bottom of your feet, just expand that shape forward, and you have the bottom of your foot. Take the point at the front and connect it anywhere on the ankle and the front in a little curvy manner. Now you have volume. Let's do that same trick for the calf. This is annoying to draw the little muscle that happens right there, right? Well, first of all, the first trick that you need to understand is that this front part is your bone. Touch your leg right now. Touch it right now underneath your knee. Do me a favor. Hopefully you have legs. But touch that part and tell me if that front of your leg from your ankle to your knee is not just pure bone. So why do we draw anything in front? That's just bone. That's the hard surface. So we're going to base everything on that little hard surface, which is that cylinder. From that cylinder, we use these little perspective points and we expand them to the back to come up with the curvature of our calf. And it connects to the back of the thigh. It doesn't connect here. It doesn't end up here. It ends up at the back of the thigh. So connect it to the back of the thigh always. So cylinder, knee, foot by perspective point, create my depth. Then from here, I'm going to find my perspective and I'm going to find how wide I want that little calf part, and I'm going to curve it and connect it to the back of the thigh. Ba-da-da-da-da. So now when you're drawing legs, you can simplify them really easy. Let's draw a little quick character and I'll draw two legs so you guys can see. So let's draw a little pinup because I like pinups. Okay, so we're going to use that technique on these two little cylinders. We're going to have our I have that swing song in my head. I want to learn how to dance so bad. Okay, so I know how to dance. So I'm Mexican. I have a basic instinctual dancing abilities, but I've always wanted to learn how to dance, like swing and stuff like that, like fun things where people like me and actually move to music and stuff. Like, but I've never actually had the balls to actually like go out and actually dance, even though my favorite movies are dance movies. Like, I like Step Up movies. I know it's cheesy and weird. Like, but Step Up 3 is like my favorite. Like, ugh. It's just like, I love just following. Like, I don't dance the dances, but because I can't do them. Like, I can't follow rhythm for shit. But it's just like so fun for me. Anyways, let's go into our cylinder. This is at a point, but it's still a cylinder. Okay. Even though it's little, it's a cylinder. I'm going to take that cylinder and I'm going to expand it to create the bottom of my feet. And then I'm going to take, you don't need to do this part. You can just add volume by just adding little curves if you want to. But if you want to have another easy mapping point, you take that point and then you connect it to the middle of your ankle. And then you can use that to use your little mapping points like that. Okay. So once you find that, you can do that. And that is how you draw feet. And then these parts, that cylinder, that perspective goes to the back and connects to the back of the thigh. Let's draw another leg. Let's draw another leg. Let's draw some other legs. Yeah, yeah. All right. So we have the perspective of this cylinder would be about there. This would just expand. And then connect the top line, create my volume. Done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy cylinder. And then the muscles wrap around and connect to the back of the thigh. Nah. What do you mean, nah? Let's draw some more. Let's draw some other legs. Let's draw them in different places. Let's draw them going different places. Yeah. Do. Let's draw some other legs. Let's draw some big fat legs too. Some big chibi legs and some big long legs. Let's draw every leg we can. All right. So we have a bunch of legs. We're going to do that with all of these guys. All of these will connect at an angle at my body. So my hip bones will be coming in at an angle. And my rib cage is going to be not too far away from my actual hip bones. So each one of these comes at an edge. And let's draw. And the rib cage is not very far away from the hip bones. Let's draw this one over here. This one's coming this way. So cylinder, let's draw the other leg this way. Body. Okay, let's draw this one. Hip bone at an angle. Let's draw this one this way. And then this one's really long, but that's fine. Let's draw the hip bones over here. And we'll draw the leg coming this way and curving this way. Okay, so let's draw the actual foot. So now that we have the hip bone and our leg coming down, we follow this perspective of our actual foot. We get to the bottom and we continue that line to however we want our foot. Then we connect this to the middle of our ankle and we have our depth. Now you can use those perspective lines as well to create things like shoes and accessories for your characters, like boots and like anything you really want to. That's really up to your imagination. And then this part could be a curve, it could be a little angle, it could be whatever you want. So follow that perspective line up, and then that's how you find your volume. Cool. Let's try this one. Circle. Perspective. We're going to follow this perspective. So now let's say that I wanted this foot facing down, but I don't know how to make it face down, Rod. Well, yeah, you do. Because you already have the circle. You already have your base and you know how long you want it. This is how it would look right going this way. Well, just change the circle going back this way. Now you have a foot looking down. No one's learning from this. Shut up, dude. Like it doesn't matter if you're not getting it. Okay? Just because you aren't getting it doesn't mean everybody else isn't getting it. It just means that you're not understanding, and then you're getting upset because you're not understanding. So now you think everybody else has to agree with you. Dude, I've been teaching for 20 years. I know what works and I know what doesn't. And if you approach me well, if you approach me nice, I would be glad to explain different ways to draw until something clicked, because that's just who I am. But when you're an asshole and you don't, and you act like that, man, I'd rather just block you, honestly. Just so you don't learn. Have you not learned? I am petty as hell. I'm doing all this just to get back at art schools. So, yeah. So how about you just don't comment stupid stuff? If you're gonna be mean, don't comment, because I will call you up on that shit, and then you ask stupid questions, you say stupid stuff, you're gonna get treated a little, made fun of a little. That's just gonna happen. How am I determining perspective? Okay, so a lot of perspective like this comes from exercises that I've done a lot in the past. So if I want to come up with the perspective, let's say I draw a leg like this, right? Like a shape like this, and I want to come up with a perspective, all I got to do is draw a circle inside of this. It doesn't matter where the circle's going or how big the circle is. That is going to give me the depth. Let's say they draw a circle like this. Cool. So now if I follow that up, I have perspective to my whole shape. And I can use that to draw things like legs, immediately know where things are going to be going. And then you can use that to start drawing poses and stuff. So that is essentially what's going on. You want to learn how to draw cool characters and stuff, right? Like so many people want to learn how to draw so badly that they skip all these things. Like you guys skip all these steps, and then you wonder why it's hard for you to draw things. If you skip all these perspective, important lessons, it's going to be really hard for you to just have fun drawing anything you want. You're always going to be guessing if you're drawing things in the right place, if you're not drawing them in the right place, if you're drawing them the right proportions, if you're drawing them the right angles, the right styles, if the eye is too far away, is that blah, 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 blah. Everybody has a reason to say that they draw differently, right? And everybody blames it on their style or lack of style or whatever. It's you're going to have so many styles throughout your life. You have no idea. If you're starting out, you have no clue. Once you unlock a certain thing in there with enough anatomy and perspective practice, you are not limited by any style anymore. You can draw anything you want. It's all going to just be limited to the amount of ability that you have with your actual drawings and the ability that you have to be able to pull those off. But you're not going to be relegated by knowledge anymore. You're going to be able to draw anything you feel like if you put enough time into it. From super simple cartoony stuff, to more complex stuff, to even just anime. You're going to be able to draw absolutely anything you want, from lips to mouths to eyes to whatever. And I want to give you guys a little encouragement in your pursuit of that by showing you these things being drawn so quickly, right? So you understand that the goal is to be able to visualize things so you can actually do things like this. I want to give you a nice positive reinforcing image of somebody using this so you can actually understand the importance of it. Because so many people just say, hey, do it. Hey, no, well, that's what you got to do. Hey, well, that's what you got to do. Well, that's all you got to do. And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, yeah, you don't end up understanding really how important it is, because even though they tell you how important it is, they don't demonstrate how important it is. When someone's starting, please go over the legs attached to the pelvis. Okay, cool. So that's actually really, really, really intuitive, and it comes really easy. So can you draw? We're going to call this the pelvis. This lesson will last like this long. That's it. You will only need to know this much to know how to draw a pelvis ray. You guys want to know how? In order to draw this really complex shape that we end up like hating in like our pelvic bowl, right? Like all anatomically correct. So to draw this shape, all you got to do is learn how to draw two circles and connect them. Oh, that sounds too easy, Rod. Well, yeah, there's one more step to this. You take these points and you angle them in a little bit. That's it. That is your hip bones as you need them with the spacing to draw perfect legs. This is all you really need to understand to draw anything from straight, cartoony legs to awesome, curvy, realistic legs, to drawing things with legs in every single pose you can possibly imagine. Let's start with this one. Oh, let's rotate that. Oh, let's make the curvy line. Oh, well, nah, I want to make them jump. I want to tuck this leg back. See what I mean? So if you want wider hips, this is what happens. Little narrow shape gives you little narrow hips. Right? Wide hips give you let's say give them a rib cage too, so you guys have like a reference point. So this guy has this sort of body. This guy has this sort of body. Yada! Why do you make so much sense? Thank you so much. Dude, it's just like once you see it once, it just needs to be taught properly, right? Like once you teach it once, all you got to do is teach it properly. Like this shape is not hard to draw in any angle, right? Because it's all it is a cylinder, and then you just taper the middle. Just make it that. And that gives you everything you need, from like things for like little chibi characters, like Mario or whatever, all the way to things for animals, like if you want to draw elephants and whatever, like anything with a hip bone is going to give you that general shape. And then when you want to draw really cool things, all you got to do is learn the balloon and stick method. So if you think of your bodies like a balloon and a stick, and then you just change the shape of those sticks and those balloons, you end up with a endless variety of body shapes. All you got to do is draw the hip bones differently, and you get an entirely different character. And it all is just a different stick and a different balloon. Enjoy. How do you make it not look unproportional? What is proportions to you? Who do you think is proportioned? Do you think that a person that is 8 heads tall proportioned? So if we like draw somebody that'd be 2, that'd be 4, that'd be 8, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so if a person's like this, are they proportioned if they're like this? If they have 8 heads tall? Is that a proportion character? Or is a proportion character a person that has the right amount of things and the right amount of spacing for your body? So if you understand the spacing required for any sort of character with actual proportional anatomy, it doesn't matter what you end up drawing. Doesn't matter the sizing that you choose for your things. You're going to end up having proper anatomy regardless. It's all about drawing functional characters. It's not about drawing people a certain proportion. It's about understanding how the body moves, how the body works, so you can modify it to make it work for you. That is the point of learning anatomy. It's not about learning like how to draw every little feature. It's not about drawing every vein. It's about learning how things connect to the body, where they move, how they pivot. Like I've learned a bunch of little different tips to be able to map things out properly. And I share them with you guys all the time, by the way. But yeah, like as you learn and progress, you're going to just find that it's not as hard as people think. It really isn't. It doesn't get very complicated, but since we skip this step, right? We skip this discovery step all the time. All this doesn't happen in our brains. We normally go from very basic learning how to put a pen on the paper to wanting to draw super stylized stuff with like, I'm like a year into my career and I want to draw with all my style. Like, yeah. Normally, people's early styles are not very good. How do you find your style is a very common question. You're not going to like the answer. You're not. Like most people don't. You already have a style. You just don't like it. Like that's literally what it comes down to. Like, now, do you want me to explain to you what a style is? So you understand that it's not a defeating, like, oh my God, he just told me my style sucks because my style sucks right now. Oh my God. Oh, he's so mean. Oh, what do you mean? Yeah, like your style is not like some magical like thing that you like just stumble upon. No, it's actually very easily defined by some very basic parameters. Your style consists of these few things. Style. What is my style, Rod? Well, boys and girls, I'm about to tell you what your style is, but do me a favor and go like my shit. Like I haven't done any of this throughout the whole stream. It's been like 2 hours. So just do this for like a minute. Like if you guys can do this while I rest my hand for a second, and take like a sip of coffee, then just do me a favor. Cool. I'll be back in a second. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just gonna take a sip of coffee. Sweet, delicious coffee. I love this coffee so much. What? Mr. Krabs performs hot dogs on plankton. What? Oh, by the way, I have a new course coming on 21 Draw. Not, yeah, they asked me to do an anatomy course. So they asked me to do an anatomy one and they asked me to do a posing one. So that's going to be really cool. Yeah, that coffee is really good. Anyways, let's find our style. So, what is our style? Like, why is it so hard for us to determine what our style is? Well, a lot of the time that we are talking about our style, we're normally defining the style that we want to get to, not the style that we have at the moment. Normally, when we talk about style and the style that we want to get, it's not what we learn how to draw or we know how to draw at the moment. But unfortunately for us, that is what our style is until we learn to modify that. But how do you modify that? Well, their style is based on two things, actually three things. So your style is going to be based on your knowledge of your foundations. So your foundations are perspective, anatomy, if you're going into character design or an animation or anything with characters, you need anatomy. And then those are going to be your two very basic foundations. Okay. So your knowledge about these is going to play a big role in how you actually draw. It's only a third of the total thing of why your actual style is consisting of, though. It's only 1/3 of it. Can anybody guess what the other two are? Anatomy, perspective, and overall knowledge of what you actually like to draw. Like you just have to be knowledgeable about what you want. If you're going to draw planes, you have to know about planes. If you're going to draw creatures, you got to just look at creatures. So that's part of your foundations too. So I'm going to put knowledge of topic. You just need to know like what it is about your like you're trying to draw better, right? Like you just have to be more focused on drawing one thing than the other. Nobody's just an average, like a person that just knows everything. Nobody's going to be a good artist at absolutely everything, especially at first. So you might have like a specialty, no specialty later, or like change it, whatever. But at first you're going to want to do either comics, animation, graphic design, fashion design. Something has to get you in the door. So whatever you love to do, I love pinups, so I like to draw pretty girls all the time. So that's my knowledge has to come from that. I love cartoons and derpy animals. So that knowledge for that has to come from that. So that is your number one step. Your second most important step is, do you guys know? Dun, dun, dun. I'll wait like 2 seconds. 1, 2. It's not practice. Practice is just refinement. It's penmanship. Oh, I guess that is practice. It comes with practice. But you need to have actual skills with the tools that you draw with. You want to create with. So let's say that you want to draw like me. Well, all you really need to do to draw like me is learn how to use a highlighter and how to use a pen. That is all that you really need to learn how to use to draw like me. If you want to draw digitally, guess what you need to learn to draw? You need to learn how to use Photoshop and use those skills because that's part of it. So this is also knowledge, but this is practical knowledge. You need to actually draw. You need to use your pens. You need to use your markers. You need to use your paints. You need to use your watercolors. You need to use the tools that you want to get better at constantly, not just a little bit, not just when you actually doing something. No. You have to practice all the time. all the time if you want to compete with people that are at least at my level or higher. Okay? I'm giving you guys the secrets to compete with me because I don't honestly have a need to compete with anyone anymore. So I'm giving you guys the tools to compete with people at a high level. So this is how you find the style that is going to compete at a high level. Not just, oh, well, I'm a graffiti artist, so I'm just going to draw this style all the time. Well, I only like drawing my eyes like that because of blah, 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 whatever excuse. And it's only because you're just scared to actually take the time to go back, track down where you suck, and then fix it. Like, nobody does that because we're arrogant. We are arrogant as hell. We are egotistical human beings. We literally are creating things from nothing. There is no way that we can't be not egotistical. We are literally people that create shit from nothing. This guy didn't exist a second ago, but now he does. And if I give him personality, like, I don't know, what should we make him, a bodybuilder? The more that I spend any energy on this drawing, the more this comes alive. And that is a power that every one of you have. Never diminish the ability to create something from nothing. Okay? Never diminish the abilities you have because someone doesn't understand their value. Okay? So that, oh, no, that was a side note, little thing. But still, you guys are awesome. Essentially, every single human being that can create something with their mind or in their hands and have the ability to do so is fucking amazing. Like, you guys are like the athletes of the actual creative world. And if you guys get known, oh my God, that's like being Michael Jordan. Like, that's like being Scottie Pippen or whatever. Like, I have no idea more athletes. I'm stuck in the 90s and the Chicago Bulls. But you guys get what I mean. Like, in our world, being good at something comes from knowledge and skills and dedication. It doesn't come from doing a lot of repetitions. It comes from doing the repetitions with purpose. So when you are practicing, that's why I said practice is important, but practice with purpose is much, much more valuable. I'd rather you guys draw 2 drawings if you're spending all your day drawing circles. I'd rather you guys actually just spend a whole day drawing circle over a circle and seeing that accuracy happen than drawing a whole page of shit like this. I'd rather see somebody draw a single circle cleanly, taking the time to do that, than see 10 pages with this shit. So you guys are awesome. You can refine these skills to become top level athletes in your world. But it takes sometimes having to come back to the drawing board to learn what you didn't learn. You might have all the drawing skills. You've been drawing for 20 years, Rod. Yeah. If I didn't take the time to learn this, that's 20 years of drawing in a non-understanding way. So I have used 20 years to reinforce a bad way of seeing things. If my goal is to draw and compete with really good artists, this alone is not enough. You need to learn this heavily and this heavily. And then there's one more step too. And this is why it's really hard to become an artist, by the way. The last step is actually living your life. And guess what living your life brings to the table? Living your life brings inspiration. So you're going to be happy and joyful, and you're going to actually want to do shit. Not just that, it's going to bring happiness to you. You're going to be a happier human being because you're actually showing yourself the world and the things you want to do. If you actually go and make a little list of things you really want to do in life and you start clicking off some things instead of just thinking about it, you're going to feel so much happiness and fulfillment. And that is going to translate to your art. Not just that. Try to live your life with your art as your money. Yes, it's gonna suck. It's going to suck sometimes because choosing this field is not always consistent, right? It's very easy to just hop on a desk and just be like a desk jockey. It's really easy. That's really easy. Being an employee is very easy. Most places will even tell you how to do every single part of the job. Like, you don't even have to be qualified to apply for most of the places. They will teach you everything. So being an employee is easy. But you know what's not easy? Getting out of an 8-hour shift, driving home for another hour, and then having the energy to do the shit that you got into art for wanting to do. Like, the reason you got into art was not to be someone's employee. I promise you that. And if you wanted to work for Disney and you wanted to work for Pixar, that's awesome. That's really cool. I hope that you achieve that goal. But it's not what you think it is. And it's never what that dream of ours is. They play off people and companies like that. They actually use that nostalgia to keep you from getting a better job position, to keep you from getting raises, to keep you from getting long contracts to get like full benefits. Sometimes companies use that power of people wanting those careers so badly that they will take advantage of you guys because of that. So that dream that you have, always make sure that you try to make it not centered around some other person having to accomplish it for you. And I don't know if that's like very clear, but you need to learn how to use the skills that you've developed to benefit you, not to benefit a company, not to be a credit in a little big line of names that nobody ever pays attention to unless there's a Marvel end scene. Use that skill that you've developed, that's honed over so many years, decades, frustration, tears, sweat. Everything has gone into your art. And I know that because I'm the same. And the reason that I was always very unhappy working for other people was because no one ever really understood what was so important about my art. No employer really took the time to really give two fucks. Not even partners, like not even like life partners, like really fully understand it. They can support you all they want, but they'll never know how important this is for you. The only person that really knows that is you. And that will be the case for most of the passion that comes out of your career for what you want to do. So as you progress through your career, okay, realize that working for another person can help you in a very specific way, and it can help you learn all the things you need to get to where you want to end up. But if you lose track of yourself because of the convenience of having a nice paycheck or having cool colleagues or a cool environment at work, remember that's normally very temporary in the art world. Because the moment that you get experience, you're essentially cost yourself out of a job. Okay. The moment that you get more experience and you expect to get valued more, you're going to get valued less because now you cost the company money, and creativity should not be paid for, according to a lot of companies. So if you guys take anything from what I do, anything, if you guys take any advice of anything that I teach, I hope that it's not the anatomy stuff. I hope that it's not the cartooning stuff. I hope that you guys really just take the notion of understanding the gravity that comes along with signing off your creative energy for a paycheck. Because a lot of the times when I was working at these production places, even though they were paying really good, don't get me wrong, it's probably the best I've been paid in my career, right? But I wanted to fucking die. Like, I felt like I lost the reason why I was doing everything. Like, I didn't go to school for art to make like just for the money aspect of it. I could have just been anything else if I wanted to pursue that. I just sell shit at the swap meet if I wanted money. But I pursued art because I loved it, because it brought me peace, because it made me happy, because I knew that if I continued doing that path, I would actually have a very happy, joyful life. That is why I did it. I didn't do it to make Amazon images for a fucking company that does not give two shits if you're there. They'll just replace you with someone else. Like, so it's like in every job, I wish that they would have proved me wrong. I always wish that they could have proved me wrong, right? Every job that I had, I wished that they would be the company that everybody wishes that they were working for. But it never happened. Not in 20 years. And not because I'm a difficult employee or anything. I'm a fantastic employee. I have perfect references from every job. But the thing is, if you're too efficient at what you do in this field, you get punished for it. So you know what I started doing? Like, and this is going to sound really weird and shitty, but I would draw things really quickly. Like if I had to do a logo, I would do a logo in like 20 minutes. And then I would purposely wait a couple weeks to send them to the client. Because they wouldn't value speed. They would value somebody struggling. And when you have to play those stupid psychological games to even make somebody actually value your work, well, it takes away so much for you. At least for me. Because if I was able to create something amazing in 10 seconds, it's not because it took 10 seconds. It took me 40 years to be able to draw that in 10 seconds. So me not being able to show my awesome skills and be able to be valued for them doesn't make you want to actually do it anymore. So eventually your little soul dies and you just don't want to pursue that anymore. And then you remember, oh, wait, why am I even doing this shit? And that's when people quit. And that's when people leave art and they just were like, oh, well, it wasn't what I expected. Well, no, of course it's not what you expected. You didn't pursue what you expected. You pursued what was easy. You pursued what was monetarily beneficial for you at the moment. That is why you're not happy with where your career is, because you gave up. So, like, if you don't give yourself a chance, how the hell are you supposed to expect to actually achieve what you want? You know? And that's why it's important to learn your foundations, guys. That's why perspective and anatomy are important. So that you don't spend 20 years doing God knows what, trying to like learn through force of will, when if you just took a week of just learning your foundations, you would work so much better. And I know a week because I've taught people in less than that. It's all about how you see things. It's all about learning to unlearn the things that you've learned that don't work for you. I'm not even going to say they're wrong. It's just things just work differently for other people sometimes. I was one of those people. I didn't understand things. But then when I did start understanding them and breaking them down in the way that made sense to me, well, that's all it took. That's all it took to learn like spacing things for like the neck and the head, and learning how to like map things out really easy from the front, from the back, blah, blah, whatever. Right? All it took for me was to just visualize things differently. For example, for me, heads were always really hard to draw as a sphere. They were like I've always struggled with the concept of drawing a sphere for a face, but it's not until like literally, and this is not exaggerating, up until like maybe like a week ago that I realized I can just draw my things as tubes and then just wrap my face around. And I have a perfect face every time. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, so all I had to draw was like, and the cylinder fits perfectly into my rib cage shape and stuff. So it's like, because I try to follow somebody's teachings for my entire career, telling me that I had to draw a fucking circle. I could have learned this so much quicker and just did it a different way. You know? If someone told me that all I needed to do to draw a face was draw a cylinder, draw a jawline, I would have told you you're crazy. But that's literally it. And that connects to the body in that sense too. Like, uh So the reason that I do these lives normally, today I just came home and I was really happy and I just wanted to like actually draw because I didn't get to do it in the morning. But I like to do these things just because maybe hopefully something clicks for one person, right? Like if it clicks for one person, like something at all, like I have literally like saved you guys years of struggle, like years of figuring something out that takes 10 seconds if explained right. It's like, it's just so silly, man. It like straight up like upsets me that it took me so long to see that. Yeah, no kidding. I've learned more in this past hour than in the last month. Nice. What lead you to realization, by the way, about the cylinders? Well, I was just drawing shapes. Like I was trying to figure out how to draw the neck part, like how to draw like this whole like concept of the collarbone, like, and like the connection point with your arms and the muscles. So I was just like observing some stuff on Pinterest, and I was looking how the muscles connect and how like the bicep and stuff like that work and all that. And then I just realized, I just observed, and I was like, wait here. Hold on. What does that look like? And something just made me realize that this part of the face looked like an eyeball. Right? And then I was like, well, how can well, the neck is easy from there because it's a cylinder, but does this also give me the sizing of my head proportion to like my actual body? And I was like, maybe, but let's play around with this. Let's go with the cylinder up to make it easy, right? Just to make it easy. And then I was like, wait the fuck a minute. The edge of our face is our ears, right? Obviously. So if our neck is going up and touches onto our ears, the only thing that really comes out from there is the actual jaw. Huh. And then my temple goes around this, and all I gotta do is round out the top. But now I have my hairline too, because I already have the top of the head. And then all I do is draw a triangle to come up with the rest of the parts of my face really quickly. And just like that, it's like, whoa, it's so quick. And it worked so well. And I was like, huh, what the flying? Let's try this in different perspectives. So I was like, okay, let's try an eye from the side. We'll draw the little sides. What happens if we draw a cylinder from that side? Well, it works really fucking well, man. Because all you do is draw the jaw, and then you have the curvature you need for your head. I was like, dude, like, what the hell? Like, this is so much easier. That's like the frustrations and the screams from someone that just realized it took 20 years to find out something that could have taken me 10 minutes. So yeah, the perspective, this gives you your hairline too, though. It's really easy, like cylinder, right? So all these lines that you have, you can put the head up as high as you want, like it really depends on like how high you want it. Like you can always cut it off if you want something little. That's the power of it. Like it gives you so much versatility. And then these cylinders just become the hairline. So now you can make anything you want, like from hats, like hats are like this got top hat almost pretty much. Hair is the same thing. It just comes from here. So these cylinders, your hair is just going to come out from there and connect back here. So, yeah. So you tell me, like, is that hard? Is that easier or harder than doing this? Or did you just draw this and draw a jaw? So you tell me what's easier. And I just have to draw like a mask. So what is easier than like drawing a cylinder that gives you everything already, including your neck and then just drawing a jaw. And then if you want a thinner neck, because that is a very thick neck, If you want a thinner neck, just make that smaller after so you know exactly where everything goes. And then just make it like that. Like once you figure out the actual proportion shape, then make it smaller after that. You can always take your head, find the actual measurement, and then as you want, if you draw like a little chibi character, well, you already know where your head is. Just make that eye really tiny, and now you have a really tiny body on a big head. Ta-da! Proportions are no longer an issue for you anymore. Head, small eye, gives you small body. Head, big eye, gives you big body. Ta-da! And that applies to anything with the head and rib cage. Anything. So if you want to draw little animals, you can draw a really big head, a little body. Because they have rib cages. Guess what? Once you can draw this, you can draw anything with a rib cage. Absolutely anything with a rib cage can be drawn with a little eye atop. Anything. So have fun with that. Anything with a rib cage can be drawn with this technique. So you're welcome. Enjoy drawing anything you want now. Just a little practice. Just with a little practice. Honestly, just a little practice and you guys will be fucking set. Okay. I'm going to sign off so I'm going to go play some League of Legends. So eventually I want to get to the point where I can like jump off my stream here and then jump on another stream to play my other games and like hopefully people actually follow. But it's not going to like matter to me if people don't go follow me play games. I don't give two fucks about that. I'd rather actually have the bandwidth, but it might be fun. I might try it sometime. I'm really good at Magic the Gathering, so I might play some Magic the Gathering arena or something. Yeah, I was ranked nationally for that. Oh my God. And I'm ranked nationally for pool too. That's really cool. Knowing that I'm good at several things, not just one. Anyways, guys, have a wonderful day. Thank you for keeping me company on this awesome, Sunday night. You guys are probably, the coolest people in the world. To the 83 people that actually shared my stream, you guys are the MVPs tonight. If I didn't have to ask you guys to do it, and you guys did it anyway, so appreciate you greatly. That is the way that I grow as a person. Like as an entity on TikTok, if you guys share my stream, I grow. I don't like saying it or sharing and saying it over and over. I fucking hate promoting myself too. So you guys know that. Like I just hate it. I have to do it because it's my job. So I have books and stuff like that. If you guys want to buy them, I have books with entire 100-page books with these sorts of sketches that are used for learning. Please draw over them. Please use them as reference. Please use them to your knowledge and advantage. Okay. Anything that I've put out for you guys, it's for you guys to use. If you guys facilitate your life by taking this sketch and just finishing it in the way that you want, go for it. Full permission. Okay. That's why I give this. I want to make the world of artists easier. Okay. It's not an ego thing. This is for me to help all of you. Okay. If you need a girl that's sitting down, you have that. If you need a torso from a person playing baseball, you have that. Okay. You need a person smiling. Now you know how to draw it. You can trace it. You can draw whatever you want. So this is why I put them out, because I want you guys to have an easier career. So enjoy the ebooks, enjoy everything. It's full, these books are full of everything. They have a little bit of everything. So they're just really fun to make your own avatar. Draw this, but draw your facial features, Oh, you want to draw yourself doing something? Yeah, draw your facial features on my dude. Who cares? That's perfectly okay. I give you guys permission. right? And then all these knowledge, little like tips and tricks that you guys can use. Honestly, like it's not a sales thing. A lot of people just learn like that. So it's just a matter of seeing if it's for you. Anyways, ebooks are there for you guys. The ebooks are just $10. There's bundles and shit like that. And there's like actual printed copies of books that you guys can buy through Amazon as well. So have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being my buddies. And I think I left you guys with a lot of really good positive notes. So we don't really need a goodbye message, but I want you guys to just know that I am very happy. You guys are awesome. Thank you for valuing the information that I give out. You know, that is not said enough. I don't think people thank their followers enough, because without you guys, I would be no one. And without someone as an audience to be able to teach, I would feel really, really sad. So I appreciate every single one of you much more than you will ever really realize. So have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Hope you guys learned something. And if you guys did, share one of my videos or something. I don't know, like do something good for me if you guys learned something. That'd be nice. But other than that, have a good one. Take care. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another lesson, okay?